So there were times where like I would get made fun of. Almost every Indian dish will have some sort of ginger dating someone Indian in the long term.
Hello, this is K-Dost Min, and today we have a special guest. It's Diveesh here again.
Hey guys, good to see y'all.
Yeah.
Diveesh.
So he was with Toon's video. I'm sure you guys have watched it.
Yeah.
Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah. So my name is Diveesh Singh. मेरा नाम दिवीश सिंह है. 안녕하세요. 저는 신두비라고 합니다.
So we are at Palo Alto.
Yeah.
Palo Alto downtown.
Yeah. We were in Palo Alto downtown. We bought some ice cream.
Yeah.
So we're really excited to try some.
Yeah. What taste is it?
So one of them is like sort of a Belgian cookie flavor, Speculicious, but the other one, the special one, is cardamom ginger.
Cardamom ginger.
Which Min was very particular about, like, I want to get cardamom ginger.
Yeah. The chai taste, right? Basically.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I know. It should be really good.
Yeah. So while we eat, I'm gonna ask him some questions.
Sounds good.
How's that?
Yeah.
So you went to university here, right?
Yeah.
In the United States.
Just down the street, actually.
Down the street.
Yeah.
Could you tell me your university?
Yeah, I was at Stanford University.
Stanford University.
Yeah.
I'm sure all those students out there should know what Stanford University is, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
How's studying to get to Stanford University?
It was pretty hard. Pretty hard. Yeah. There's a lot of competition in the area. Subjects are hard. You have to spend a lot of time, studying for SATs and getting good grades and doing other things besides that, like being involved in student activities, those kinds of things.
You gotta be like a team captain or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So I see a lot of Indian people in this region.
Yeah.
I see a lot of Indian restaurants. So how was that competition? Were there a lot of Indian students being competitive in college and in high school?
Yeah, I mean, definitely in high school, there are a lot of Indian people in the area, and I think just there is that attitude of they're very driven, so people tend to be kind of competitive in these areas. But I mean, it's nice. It's nice to have a lot of Indian people in the area as well.
It is.
It's kind of comforting.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a lot of competition in the schools for sure.
I mean, even for my high school, one of the top 3 students, one of them was Indian.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Is it? I guess Indian people are more smart in general. I don't know. It feels like their education training is very rigorous.
I mean, I think it depends on a per family basis, but I generally get the sense that at least the Indian families that I've interacted with, they have a very strong emphasis on education.
So you boys academics like our son?
And so I think that's why.
Any subject in particular, or all the subjects?
Well, the stereotype tends to be that a lot of focus on math and science.
Yeah.
Most people I know who are Indian, they're generally quite good at math and science.
It is. It is, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like nowadays especially, there's so many subjects people can pursue. And so you can kind of do whatever subject you want, but still the emphasis on doing that subject well. That's always there, regardless of which subject they're talking about.
I get it.
Yeah.
Well, let's get some ice creams, okay?
Yeah.
Before we do some more interviews, right?
Sure. Let's try some of the ice cream.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
So this one is the cardamom one, right?
This is the cardamom ginger.
Yeah.
And this is the Speculicious.
Speculicious.
Yeah. It's like there's some Belgian cookie. I know the Speculous. Speculous is the name of the Belgian cookie.
Oh, is it?
And it's kind of like
Grinded cookie kind of stuff?
Yeah, grinded cookie, ice cream.
Let me try the cardamom first though. Very cardamom.
Yeah.
A lot of cardamom inside. I like this. You don't get this taste in Korea, It's very
I was in Korea recently. Yeah, this sort of cardamom flavor is not very popular in a lot of the dishes there. Whereas in India, for our Indian viewers out there, elaichi, you find it in almost everything. And this actually this flavor is kind of like a kulfi flavor. Maybe not kulfi flavor, but some kinds of kulfi will have this cardamom in it. And so I kind of get that sort of feeling.
Well, I like this a lot.
Yeah.
Jahe. Ice cream jahe.
There's a little bit of
this time I'm gonna try some Speculicious.
Let us know what you think.
Oh, it's like I know this cookie, right?
Yeah.
Red velvet kind of taste?
Not
Something
red velvet.
like
Have you heard of gingerbread cookies?
That's the one. Okay.
Gingerbread cookies.
I was trying to configure, It's very good. Belgian. Yeah. I get it.
Gingerbread cookie and then cardamom ginger ice cream. Both have some kind of ginger aspect to it.
But you like ginger?
Yeah.
Ginger is so good.
Ginger. I think almost every Indian dish will have some sort
Ginger,
of ginger,
spice or
onion, ginger, garlic, haldi, turmeric,
turmeric.
salt, pepper, things like that too.
Of
Yeah.
It's very healthy, the natural flavor.
Yeah.
Herb and
I'm sure if you've watched their other videos, man, into the Indian food, I know a lot about that kind of stuff.
no doubt about it. Right?
Very impressive.
Except
Very
for hajmola, maybe.
You don't like hajmola?
Yeah.
Ooh.
You like hajmola?
It's okay. I'm not a huge fan.
Could you have your friends try hajmola, like your non-Indian friends,
I
and
think.
still keep your friendship?
My friendships are close enough that they wouldn't break a friendship if I made them try hajmola, but I don't think they would like it.
Yeah.
I have a strong feeling that they wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
I mean, my Indian friends, even if they're like American born, they would like hajmola. Or if they go back to India, they like hajmola.
So you went to Stanford University.
Yes,
right?
that's correct.
Yeah, I know. You major in computer science?
Yes.
So I heard that Sanskrit is very similar to computer coding, like 0-1 mechanism, and
Whoa.
is it something like that, or
I
is
have
it
no
true?
idea. I don't know much about Sanskrit in terms of like from a theoretical perspective. So, have you studied Sanskrit?
No, but the Hindi is driven from Sanskrit, right?
Yeah.
So learning Hindi, like speaking Hindi, does it help with the programming? Or it doesn't matter at all.
I don't think it really matters.
Okay, sorry.
At least maybe it does. I
Maybe it
mean,
does.
I haven't been able to compare. I've never learned programming having not known Hindi. Because I knew Hindi and then I learned how to program later in my life. Whether or not it helped with my programming,
It's mystery.
I have no idea.
Because there are so many well-known professional Indian software engineers who are now acting as a CEO, like Microsoft and other companies, right? Tech companies, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure they have some correlation. I think. Okay, so you're working as an engineer.
Yes, that's
in the
correct.
United States, right? How is it like to be working as Indian or working in general in the United States?
Yeah, definitely. I think because a lot of the people who I work with, very diverse work environments.
Oh, yeah.
And so it feels just very normal to me. Like I go into work, I do the same thing as everyone else. There are quite a few Indian people at my workplace as well. I think especially just like because you're in the Bay Area and like there's so much diversity around here. It just feels like a regular job. You go in and you do your stuff, come
There's
back.
no like difference.
Not really. At least like I've been fortunate enough in my experience to not have experienced any of that. I can't speak for other people, but I know at least from what I've talked to about with my friends, my other coworkers, it doesn't really feel any different being like an Indian. But I think a big part of that is because of the existing diversity. There's so many people of like so many different backgrounds.
That's correct.
In these companies.
So you grew up in United States.
That's correct.
You're sick,
Yes.
obviously, right? So how was it to grow up and spend your childhood in the United States as an Indian or as a Sikh?
Good question.
Yeah.
Good question. Yeah, so I think growing up, there were quite a few Indian people, quite a few just people of various different races in my elementary school. But no one else like wore any sort of turban or something similar. And so there were times where like I would get made fun of as a child. Just because I think a lot of children are like unfamiliar
With the Sikh culture.
Yeah. If it's something that you don't see, then it's kind of hard to process or kind of hard to understand. But I think I was fortunate enough that once I was in high school, there were maybe like 7 or 8 other Sikh people. My high school was like 2,000 people.
A lot of students.
Yeah, a lot of students, maybe like 7 or 8 other Sikh people.
Oh, yeah.
But even that was like quite enough to feel like, there are other people who like look like me. And there's so many Sikh people in the Bay Area. So that I didn't really feel that sort of
alienation or
yeah, that's a good word, alienation. I didn't really feel that sort of alienation for most of the time I was growing up. But obviously there are places in the US that are not as forgiving. But fortunately for places like here, because there's so much diversity already and so much understanding and people in fact encourage like if you're different, that's like cool, right? Like I think that's what really helped me sort of grow and like thrive in this environment.
That's great to share that, Even for me, like people like made fun of me because during my high school or middle school, they could do like this.
Oh, really?
With the eye splinting stuff.
Oh, no.
And they go like, woo! Like copying Bruce Lee.
Oh, my God.
That happens.
That's so bad.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's changing rapidly. Yeah. How was like celebrating the Indian holidays? Like Diwali or Ganesh Puja, right?
Oh, we don't do Ganesh Puja at our place. Yeah. But Diwali, definitely.
Diwali's a festival of lights.
So usually it ends up being more of a cultural thing, at least within my extended family. So someone will like host a big party and we'll have firecrackers and like light them at midnight and have lots of good food, lots of good family. It's been fun. I feel like they do end up being more just another kind of party. I don't know how much of a like religious,
Like authentic
religious
experience.
It's not really. It's definitely not
Yeah.
there. It's not definitely not as present. But I think it's still cool to sort of hold on to a lot of these holidays and still do fun things and like spend time with family. Yeah, it's still exciting. It's a good time and I enjoy them.
I think it's fun. I mean, I feel like these traditions are crumbling all over the world, right?
Yes.
World are like trying to become one.
Yeah.
So all those traditions, I think they're like becoming more
Obscure, maybe?
Yes, obscure, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been living here for quite a long time, right?
Yeah.
More than 20 years, right? So I'm sure you have dated some people here, right?
Here and there.
Here and there,
small
yeah.
date.
So, so am I, right? So,
Yeah.
So have you dated non-Indian girl as Indian guy?
For a bit, yes. For a bit, yeah.
Was it any different compared to dating Indian girl?
To be honest, I actually haven't dated an Indian girl.
Well, I'm sure you have heard things, right?
Yeah. I don't know if my experience is necessarily the best to talk about, but I have like other Indian friends who've dated other people of like different races, and they've also dated like Indian people. There's definitely a lot of like interracial dating going on based on what I see, especially because everyone kind of has this shared American experience as well to sort of bond over. But I've also noticed that most of my Indian friends end up dating someone Indian in the long term. So they always say like, oh, like mommy, daddy, I don't want to date like an Indian person.
While arranged marriages are no longer the norm, Indian parents continue to have a greater than average involvement in their children's love lives.
Like, why are you forcing me to marry an Indian person? They go out and date other people, and eventually everyone comes back to like date an Indian person and eventually get married to like someone who have a similar race or similar ethnicity.
Gift to give you than the gift of marrying an Indian woman, just like you've always wanted.
My goodness, Rajesh, this is exciting news. Who is she?
You tell me.
Which I think is very funny.
So you think that will happen to you too?
Ooh, I think so. I think so.
Well, I mean, Indian girls are very pretty, right?
Oh yeah. Oh
I would love to date one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Men single, ready to mingle.
Maybe you should introduce me too. So
Yeah.
would Indian people here be interested in dating Korean?
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
For
Oh.
sure.
Wow.
100%. Yeah.
100%. But
Especially such a good-looking man like yourself.
So how was it actually dating other race?
At the end of the day, what matters is what kind of values you share.
Yeah.
That's kind of the foundation of a relationship.
As individual, not as like a race or
Right.
anything like that.
But the thing is, right, there's so many aspects of someone's upbringing, their culture, family background that impact their values, impact how they live their lives, impact the things they like do, impact the way they think about things. And a lot of the time, your family upbringing will also kind of affect the dynamics of the relationship. At least that's what I've seen. It's also probably why I've seen a lot of Indian people, and then my friend circle at least, end up dating other Indian people. Just because there is that, that sort of cultural similarity. You kind of understand when you go meet the other person's parents. There's already this shared understanding of, this is how you're supposed to deal with Indian parents, for example.
It's very important.
For example, they offer you food, you don't say no. Like you have to eat, otherwise like that's considered kind of rude.
But they give so much though.
Yeah, they do. They do. I still haven't figured it out.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I go to India, I get way more food than I can actually eat.
Yeah.
But they still just keep on giving me more and more and more. I'm sure
There's
you
like
all have
endless
probably...
of naans and he's like, how am I supposed to finish this? But it's a heartwarming experience.
It is. Indian people tend to be very hospitable.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I think when you have that shared cultural understanding, it does become easier to date someone. But obviously, that's not a hard and fast rule, but this is just generally the trend I've noticed.
So what are some stereotypes of American people on Indian people from your experience?
Yeah, good question. So I think from my experience, obviously like it differs based on what area you're in. For example, here, because there's so many Indian people, there's not really many stereotypes that people really actively talk about. But, they do exist, not YouTube or social media, but like other places you go to, people have the general ideas of like, oh, this is what an Indian person is. So a couple things that I can think of, maybe everyone says the red dot on your forehead. It's like the tikka tikka. So a lot of people will say like, oh, you're Indian, but I don't see you wearing a tikka. That's definitely like an interesting sort of thing I've heard about. A lot of times they'll ask, oh, do you eat curry for every meal? And honestly, I never knew what quote unquote curry was growing up because my mom would be like, here's palak paneer and like chapati, or here's like aloo gobi and chapati, or here's like biryani, right? Like no, there was never like, oh yes, beta, you're eating curry. There's like, I don't know, I never knew what that was. So when people asked me in school, I was like, I don't know what this curry is. Yeah. But apparently that's like a sort of
turmeric-based kind of like brown.
I think so. I still haven't figured it out yet, to be honest. But
that's what Korean curry is. The turmeric-based. With the potatoes and vegetables.
I see. So maybe that's kind of what people generally think of when they think of Indian food. And so I guess in that sense, most Indian foods will have turmeric in them and that kind of appearance, but also like other different types of appearances as well. That's definitely one thing. So there's a couple interesting stories actually. Because I wear a turban, that kind of stand out a little bit. And other people who wear turbans also kind of stand out especially when they're in areas where there are not that many people with turbans.
Especially the white one.
Oh yeah. I like wearing the bright colored ones, you know?
It's good on you,
So it's kind of funny sometimes I'll be walking around with some friends and we'll see like older man, maybe like my dad's age, also wearing a turban. And the joke would always kind of be, oh Diveesh, is that your uncle? Or, oh Diveesh, I found your dad. So that's kind of like, I don't know if it's necessarily like a stereotype, but it is like a
childish joke.
A little like like interesting jokes that people make. But you know, I think at the end of the day, I don't think it's right to have stereotypes. I think it's definitely good to have actual understanding of different cultures and get to know someone of a culture that you're maybe unfamiliar with. And so you can actually appreciate a lot of the aspects of that culture, because every culture is so interesting, so diverse, so many things to learn about.
They're so deep, right?
Yeah.
Us learning about Indian culture.
I know.
There's no end to it.
I mean,
especially India, right?
There's so much depth to Indian culture, so much depth that you can't really classify all of it into a couple stereotypes. But regardless, those stereotypes do exist. Unfortunate state of the world, but I feel like most cultures will have some stereotypes associated with them.
Well, I feel like this cultural boundary, I feel like they're breaking, being like shuttled down.
Definitely.
Like, more and more as time goes by, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, because of all this like globalization and things like that, I wouldn't say necessarily the cultures are mixing together, but there's more of an understanding of other people's cultures, more familiarity, especially with like social media and things like that. Your guys' videos, honestly,
of course,
people getting exposure to like different kinds of cultures, which I really like. And you should be proud of your own culture. You should encourage other people to learn about it. You should take the time to understand it yourself too, and so you can portray it in the best light. And I think that's just the best way to go about it. Everyone has an understanding of other cultures, but they have that deep-rooted connection with their own culture. That's what I like the most.
Even for us, our goal is basically to have more exposure on our own, and also to contribute and tell others, share others our experience in long terms, right?
What you guys are doing is amazing.
What you're doing is also amazing. With the K-pop cover. Alright, so today we had a chance to do some interview with Diveesh Singh. Thank you so much for being part of our interview.
Thanks so much again for having me on the video.
Thank you for being part of it.
I'm such a big fan of your guys' channel. So many interesting videos.
Thank you.
Of course. It's such an honor to be on your channel, and thanks again for interviewing me.
Thanks so much for being part of our videos.
Hopefully we do more in the future.
Hopefully. I think we will meet one more time, right?
Definitely.
1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Okay, thank you again for joining our videos, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching, guys.
See y'all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.